Thank you for that, Luis. Definitely, you clearly did your research, so I'm quite impressed. So let me kind of rewind a little bit, right? So when I started in industry, I started as a medical science liaison. So essentially, in this role, we are employed by companies, and this is sort of very similar. The role that the term MSL is very common. So every company usually has their group. They have like a sales team, they have marketing, and then on the medical side, we're essentially field-based medically trained professionals. So our remit is really to go out there and educate providers about either a disease state or a therapeutic drug or drugs that we're working on. And we would go and meet with people who may see a lot of patients with these diseases, or we would work with those that are sort of specialists, and they're the ones who are we call them key opinion leaders. They are the ones who research and do clinical trials on that. So that's been sort of our role. In my capacity, I've always been within the realm of field medical. And so I was a medical science liaison for the entire 10 years that I was at Bristol Myers Squibb, and we did viral hepatitis B, and then we did hepatitis C. And then I continued that on because I went from a big pharma with Bristol Myers now to a smaller company, Intercept, and as a medical science liaison there as well, but working in a different therapeutic area for sort of rare liver disease. At that point, I got promoted to become what's called a regional field medical director. So then I was managing a team of MSLs, but for the West region. And then I came to SpringWorks, and then now I have more of an elevated sort of national rather than just the West. I kind of help cover the entire country. So at this moment, I have a team of five MSLs that are trained. They're either PharmDs right now or PhDs essentially. And so, as you said, our company is focused on rare oncology and those types of tumors. And the one that we're particularly working on, as you stated, is neurofibromatosis type 1 or NF1. And that is a disease that is sort of a rare tumor predisposition syndrome that essentially causes tumors to grow along the nerves of your body. It's rare in the sense that the birth incidence is only like 1 in 2,500. And the prevalence, if you think about the whole US population, is only about 100,000 people. So you think 330 million people, 100,000 may be affected by the disease. So it's relatively rare. Affects males and females, almost exactly the same. And really the challenges with a lot of these folks is, you have these manifestations that can occur early on, but sometimes they're misdiagnosed. They don't know exactly that they have it. But some of the newer diagnostic criteria and the advent of genetic testing has really helped, giving them a definitive diagnosis. So that's been nice to see. So going back to sort of your question here and sort of what I do and what my team does. So again, I lead the team of these people that are based across the country. They each have their own territories, and their task is to meet with, I would say each person has about 40 or so people or physicians that they normally call on that are their key opinion leaders. And they would meet with them and talk to them about the clinical trials. So are they interested in certain clinical trials that we may have open? Are they interested in even just research on their own? So these are called investigator-initiated trials. So we would, entertain those types of discussions. And then as our own company is presenting different types of data at congresses and things like that, we would, again, engage in conversations with these physicians to make sure that they understand this is the latest data so they can make an informed decision about the medication. So our role is very distinct because how we are different than sales is anything that sales can talk about is what's in the label. So as a pharmacist, you're probably very familiar with what a package insert looks like and all of the information that's in there. And so from a commercial standpoint, they can really only speak to that, and they can speak proactively to that information. For the most part, we are sort of under the same umbrella when we go out and we speak with physicians. If our drug is approved by the FDA and we have a package insert or a label, we can proactively talk about the information that's in there because obviously it's been vetted by the FDA, it's been reviewed from a regulatory standpoint. But if physicians have questions that aren't found in the label, then that's where we find that we're the most useful because we, as a medical organization, can answer those questions, assuming that we have that information. Maybe it's just not in the label. We've done it in a study, it hasn't been published or hasn't been presented yet. That's where we engage in what we call off-label, sort of unsolicited questions. And in any situations where we may not be able to answer all of that, we still capture that in, and then we send it to our medical information, in-house, and they may be able to, come up with a more robust response than what we may have access to. So that's sort of in a nutshell what I do and what my team does. So you take that model and you apply to you think about every single drug, every single therapeutic area has some team of medical experts that are based across the country that meets locally with physicians to educate, to talk about clinical trials and those types of things.